confirm that you guys can hear me. Great. Apparently it wasn't working before, so I'm going to go ahead and repeat what I said. Today we'll be talking about doing more with Google Docs as part of our Google Apps for Education Professional Development webinar series. And Kay Allen, who is one of our Google Apps for Education certified trainers, will be sort of leading the webinar today. In terms of logistics, please put any questions you may have in the Q&A window, and we'll be sure to answer that at the end. We'll leave about 10 to 15 minutes at the end for Q&A. Any questions about sound or audio, you can feel free to chat those to me privately in the chat window. I'm going to pass over the presenter privileges to Kay, who can go ahead and take it away. So thank you so much again for joining us today.
Becky. Same here. Go ahead and let me know. Make sure you can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I'm going to share my desktop. And hopefully you can see my desktop up there. Like Becky said, we're going to be talking about how to organize your things once you have your files, and talk about what more can you do with your Google Docs. That is one of the biggest questions I get after meeting people all excited about their files and things like that, and things are coming in and they're all excited about it, but then they get about 10 to 15 or even 50 of them in there, and they start going, oh, what do I do with them? The first thing I tell people is to take a deep breath and let's go ahead and organize some things. The really great thing about Google Docs is, like your desktop or like your files on your computer, you can make what are collections. Tags is a way to think about them. Right now, if you're looking at my desktop, you can see that I need to do a little cleaning up. You can see that I've got some things in here. I'll make this a little bigger so you can see it. Let me make that bigger. Oh, maybe I can't. And you can, for example, I've got this D2LE memo, and it's actually sitting in a tag called School Admin Audience. See, I got a little blue thing next to it. Got some other things down here that are also sitting in tags. And I've got other things on my left-hand side. These are all my collections that I made throughout the years as things have gone on. But I think the other really great thing about collections is I can have files in multiple places, and if I make any changes to that file, they are modified, or those changes are all represented in the same place. So before I had Google, I'd have a document sitting in vocabulary, and I'd have it sitting in 3 different school districts, for example. And if I made any changes to that vocabulary sheet, I'd have to go in and find in all those school districts to make those changes. So it's really nice to do that. Also, great other thing about collections is that you can share a collection and drop anything into that collection, and it's automatically shared with everybody else. So that's another really nice thing about that. You don't have to individually share documents with them. So let's go ahead and let's talk about how to create a collection first. The way to do it is to click on, make sure you clicked on Home, click on Create New, and you're going to create a new collection. To do that, it automatically drops that new collection. Even if I hit cancel, it'll automatically make that new collection over on the left-hand side. I have up to 122 characters to name that collection, but I would recommend keeping it short and sweet, because if you have it too long, then it goes beyond your bar over there on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and name this a Google collection. Let's just name it Google collection for now. And OK. So Google collection automatically reorganizes itself over there on the left-hand side alphabetically. Okay. Go ahead and click on the down arrow next to that new collection. And some things where it says like Create New. I want to create a new document or a new presentation right within that collection. I can do it right from here. I share that collection. I started that collection. That's really nice, because right now I'm working with a couple different things, and if I want to, I can star them right then and there. home, of course, that's your home, kind of your main kind of area. So if you choose not to show this collection in home, by default, it'll automatically show up in your home. It has to do with putting them, I'm going to go ahead and click on it. But organizing has to do with, oh, I meant to put that underneath another collection. So if I click on, for example, right here, AEA267 Work Info, and click My Collections and apply those changes, that Google collection is now sitting over here. I've actually reorganized it. So you can always reorganize a collection. Everything within that collection comes with it. So I'm going to go ahead and organize that again, and I'm going to put it back where it belongs. And that's just by clicking. And so I can click as many of these as I want. I could click if I wanted to. So that's really nice to have that collection in multiple places. Oops. All right, let's look at other things in here. I can rename it. One of the biggest things that I've found very helpful is to change the color. You notice that most of my collections are not what I call Google Blue. I like Google Blue, but I also like to be able to differentiate in the colors. And I really don't care what color it is, as long as it's something different than the one above or below it. Because if I call that Google Blue, they get really hard to distinguish. So I'm going to go ahead and change it to green, let's say. Okay? So the color is very helpful for me. You can mark it as unviewed. So that might just, if you mark it unviewed, that just means it's going to show up in your home with it's going to show up bold, and it's going to show up a little dot next to it saying you haven't viewed that collection yet. What's nice is I can click on download, and I can download everything within that collection to a folder on my desktop, and everything comes with it. Rather than having to go in and individually download files, I can just click on download right from that collection. And of course, you get your move to trash from right there. Okay? So Becky's been monitoring on the questions for me in case people have any questions. Notice I can also scroll this bar and make it bigger. So I've got bigger ones in there. So I've got some longer named items in there too, so if I need to see the whole title of that as well. Okay? All right, let's go back to home now, and let's start thinking about how I want to organize some things. I want to take a few of these things, and notice I can click multiple things, and I can click and drag all those things into the Google collection. Now just move 4 things into Google collection and added. And then once they're in a collection, I like to say, don't show on home. And that's over there on the right-hand side. So once I have multiple things selected, I get that don't show on home over on the right-hand side. It's working with one thing. You have to go up here to on actions and say don't show on home. So that's really going to clean up this home page for you. I just like to go in and say, okay, don't show on home. I have to move some things around. So if I don't want, once it's in a collection, I just go ahead and click on don't show on home. Again, multiple things. And things with those dots are things that are new that I have not opened yet. And these are all sitting someplace. I'm going to click on don't show on home. So that cleans it up really nicely for you, so you really got an easy way to manage your stuff. Okay? Collections are really nice. And like I said, I could take, for example, this one right here. This is actually a picture that I was working with. So if I take this picture and I'm going to put it into multiple collections, lots of different ways I can do that. You just click and drag. You can drag more than once. It automatically does it for you. Or you can click on Organize and check or uncheck any one of these things. And up those changes. Okay? All right, so that's how you do that. So now I've got it. See, I've got those lines in there. Now, whenever people need to find some things, you click on All Items. And everything that you own, regardless if it's in a collection or not. Okay, so are there any questions? I hope if you stop back, if there's any questions that people need to see, any regarding the collections. But really, once I open up some things, go ahead and I move them right into that collection right away. Okay. Let's talk about how to search then. That's another really question that I get a lot of times is how do I search for something? I have something and I have no idea where it is. The way to do it if you're searching for something and you're exactly where it is the first one, click on all items. Okay. If you happen to know what it is, I know it's a Word document, or I know it's a collection, or I know it's a spreadsheet. The first thing to do is to narrow it down into what you know it is. For example, I know it's a spreadsheet. Okay, so narrow some things down for you. The next thing to think about is, do I own it, or did somebody share it with me? If somebody shared it with you, you click on More Options, and you click on Shared with Me. Really starting to narrow some things down. Look up here in that search bar. You see I'm searching for spreadsheets, searching for things that are only shared with me. Get rid of one of those and say, oh no, it was a doc. I can click on the X next to it and just on text documents. Like, oh, okay, I'm looking at documents. You can definitely reorganize and get rid of any of these search items up here at the top. Okay, so now let's say I know, for example, that it had the word planning in the title. And by default, it'll kind of come up with some things that have planning in the title. So I've got some things called NW planning, webinar planning, January planning. So it's searching for title first. If I click on the very top one, it'll search for anything that contains planning anywhere in the document. So I'm going to click on that. And I'll give you some items that see how, like, for example, preparing teachers for one-to-one. Planning is not in the title, but planning must be somewhere inside that document. Okay, show that again to you. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all these things. Okay, back to my home. So the first thing I want to do is click on all items. Then you think about, is it a collection? Is it not? What is it? And this time, say it's a present. Let's say it's a spreadsheet this time. Okay, and let's say that it is something that I know was private. I mean, I've probably shared it with somebody, but it's still private. Okay? Private doesn't mean that you own it and you haven't shared it. Private simply means you may have shared it with people, or it's something that people have shared with you, but it's not out there on the web. Okay? This time I'm going to look for something that maybe has, for example, name in it. Okay? So by default, it'll search for item titles that have my name in it. And I want to search for things that have items that contain my name. I can just go ahead and click on that, and it'll load everything that may have my name in it somewhere. Okay? And then click that out, and we're going to go back to all items again. Okay? That's one of the best ways to search, is to start with what kind of document it is, and then to think about who owns it. Another good way to search for things is to use your Boolean search. Like, for example, if I'm looking for something that's shared, and I think if I can put in here, no, not that one. I'm sorry, I was thinking about something else. We'll come back to that later. Any other questions about sharing? I'm sorry, about searching. That's where I'm at. Sorry, searching. Any other questions about searching? The options underneath there. Oh, I'm sorry, Becky. Did you have something?
No, I was going to say, I don't see any specific questions about each topic that you're showing, so just more general questions about docs, so we'll save those till the end.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, great. Okay, let's talk about spreadsheets, and as far as when you want to kind of manipulate some data. I'm going to go to my home. I believe I have some spreadsheets in here. And let's go to, I just had this one called Google Username. I'll make it a little smaller so you guys can't quite see all of it. But these are some usernames that I had worked with today. And if, just like your spreadsheets, you can sort them. You can sort them by A to Z. I also like that you can do some things that are some functions. So I can do split, and then I can do, okay, where do I want to split it? Well, I want to split this one at the @ symbol. So I have to do a comma in there. Oops, sorry. Split. I'm going to split just this one, and we'll put it at the at symbol. So then it'll split right into two different ones. So if you're looking for that first name, last name kind of thing, you can split those up as well. It's kind of a nice little tool to do that as well. Okay. And then you can just drag it on down, and it'll split it all the way down for you. And just carry that right on over. And also, remember when you make a form too, if you have a form and you don't like how the information is coming back out to you, you have to make sure that you don't move your columns around. For example, I had this spreadsheet here that I was making. And again, I'm going to search for just this. Oops, I don't want them all collections. I know spreadsheet. I'm going to add this spreadsheet. And I didn't like how things were laid out. And so at a point in time, I'm like, oh, I'm going to move this column around. I'm going to move that column around. You can't do that. You need to make sure and keep them in the same area, same column as you set them up. Otherwise, you're going to run into some problems and it won't work. And you might as well just start over at that point. Okay. Have you seen this lately? I'll talk about how to share. I can take, for example, this Google collection and add a description right over here on the right-hand side and say this collection is documents related to a webinar. And a little description in there. And that's really nice to do that as well. Because that just kind of really helps to explain a little more. Or maybe it's for somebody else. It's like, okay, what the heck is this thing doing here? And that's where that is. Okay. Notice also you can click and organize. So say you've got a collection that's sitting down here. I just did this today. Let me close all my collections for a minute. I have some collections that have been shared with me. For example, let's look at this right here. So this one has been shared with me, so it's not going to show up in my collections here in the center. So what I'd like to do is I want it to show up in my collections because it's easier for me to find. So on the down arrow next to it, and click Organize, and click on My Collections, and apply the changes. Show up in most of collections, and there it is, Iowa Google Apps. So it was shared with me. I can put it in my collections by forcing it to do that. And again, there I can do the same thing with changing the color to whatever I want. Let's go with orange with that one. Oh, that's too close. So that's the whole thing too. So you know, I have a description there that says this folder contains resources for Iowa Google Apps certified trainers. So that's a nice little tool as well to change those things. Just because it's sitting down here in collection shared with me doesn't mean you can't move it up into your own collections. Okay, let's go back to a spreadsheet. I'm going to click on, this thing I was working with today, and I was working with the Google Apps course timeline today. This timeline that I wanted to show up and clean for my participants. I didn't want them to see all these other things. I just wanted, and I didn't want to have any of the toolbars or anything up there. I just wanted a nice, clean website basically for them, a web link for them. So with that, I clicked on Share, Publish a web page, and Publish all sheets. I'm going to stop publishing for just a minute. So I click Start Publishing. And I want to publish as a web page, and I push all cells. Read it, that URL, and so now I'm going to open a different browser just so you can see what it looks like when I'm not signed into my Google account. and it looks like when it's nice and clean. So they're only seeing the cells that have been published. They're not seeing the ruler, the toolbar, any of those things. I had a teacher that had her class calendar set up on a spreadsheet, and every time we tried to import it, it got too big, and then we tried to put it in a Google site, and it was too big. So what we did, we published it and then embedded it right into a Google site. So that was a lot better, or put it on the left-hand side actually as a link to schedule. And that worked out really well because that way it was seamless. Nobody realized that they were heading to someplace out of Google site, and they didn't have to scroll over left or right to see anything, so to see everything. So that was a nice thing for her to have that in there. So that's underneath share, publish as a web page. Okay, so that's really nice as well. Also, I'm sure most of you are aware, but just in case you're not, you receive a notification every time a form is completed or anytime there's changes made to things. So if I click share, and I set notification rules. So this is a Google form that I've filled out, or I'm asking people to fill out, and set notification rules. So right now, I say, okay, every time a user submits a form, go ahead and email me right away. And save. You can also say you're working collaboratively with somebody else on the spreadsheet. You can say any changes are made to the spreadsheet, email me right away, and hit save. So you can multiple notification rules anytime this form is submitted and anytime changes are made. This is really helpful for example, I've got a district using it for their custodial staff. They're a district that's small, and they've only got one custodian that goes between buildings. So, and the teachers feel like they can't, they don't have enough access to him. So the Google form, put it right on their website, and it says in there, for example, what kind of issues are you seeing, how high of a priority is it, and then that way that custodian can come in and check his email and say, oh, there's some things I need to address right now, or it can wait till I get over to the building. So that way the teachers feel a little more in touch with him and feel like some questions are getting answered. So it's really nice to have that notification in there as well. I know our tech departments are using a Google form as well, and they have multiple IT people. They have that notification anytime changes are made. So that way they can see if that issue's been resolved or not without having to open up the Google Docs. So that's kind of a nice little thing to help you as well. I'm trying to think if there's other questions. I want to make sure and address your questions if you have any about the things that you want to see. Or any questions, Becky, as far as things that people want to see?
Well, we can go into now is since you just showed us the notification rules for forms. Are you aware of any notification rules for docs and presentations?
Not that I'm aware of. I tried doing an RSS feed, and that didn't work. I've only done spreadsheets are the only ones that have notification rules that I'm aware of.
Yeah, it's possible that there could be an app script that you write that do that notification, but there's nothing built right into the product.
Right, exactly. Yep, that's what I've seen too. Good. And let's talk about advanced search. So let me show you that. There is search terms for you. Let's see. Type your search terms. I always forget where those sit. Have the filters. No. That's what I'm looking for. Sorry. Operators. That's what I'm looking for. There is, if you're looking for some things that specific, for example, here are search operators. The quotes, of course. You have the or and the hyphen. This is the from. I'm searching for something specifically from a certain person. So let's think how about that would look. And again, I search right here from home and type in from. No, only searching thing home. I have to get rid of the home, and now I got some things from Lynn Campbell, L. Campbell. So if that's one of another mistake, if you want to clean up that home and nothing else showing up, and you start doing a search for something, you're not going to see everything, only searching your home. So you've got to get rid of that home, and I'll search it. I use that from every once in a while. If I know it's from a certain person, I'm like, okay, I don't know exactly the name of the title. I don't know exactly what's in it, but I know it's from Lynn. That kind of a thing. So I'll search that as well. I like that from. Type, of course, I don't have to worry about type. The owner, if you happen to know who the owner is, that's a nice little tool as well. So if I know the owner is SCHMA3, for example, how many things come up? So now I'm searching for anything that I don't own, but I know the owner is SCHMA3. Now, carefully, you do have to use their actual username. See, once I took off the 3, it didn't find it. So it isn't a like. You've got to add that actual username in order to find those things. And then title. If you only want to search the title, that's where you use that title as well. And I don't use that very often because it's going to come up here for me anyway. It's going to for me in that drop menu. So I don't use title at all. I usually just use the from or the to or the owner to kind of narrow some things down for me. And that's probably the best way to do that. Okay. Whoops, let me get rid of that for you. All right. Let's talk about Google Docs real quick as far as publishing as well. Nope, this isn't one that I own that I can mess with. So let's find one I can mess with. So I'll get rid of home. And I want to see all text documents. So here I have. Talk about discussion and comments and those kinds of things. Oh, I don't want to show you guys. I don't want to see that one either. Let's choose another one. Let's do this one. This will work. Okay, so I'm going to do some discussion with us. You've noticed that Google has recently added something called comments. Because on this one, I'm missing that discussion, and this really threw me for a loop for a while. And the reason is it's not a newer document. This is actually an older document that we loaded in probably a while ago. So I'm missing that discussion tab because of that. So make sure that if you want to have that discussion, that you're using a brand new document. So I'm going to just click on New Document and have the discussion tab up here on the right-hand side. Okay, so that's an important thing to. If you're not seeing that discussion, that's because it's an older document. If you really want that discussion, the best thing to do is to export it and then import it again, and then you'll have that discussion piece on there. So if you're doing discussions are kind of like that offline comments. They work really well because every time somebody comment on this article or comment on this document, you'll receive an email. So I'm going to go and click on it. And there's your notification settings. And by default, it'll enable email notifications for this document. You find me all new comments. You can unclick any of these. A lot of students or a lot of teachers use this when they are conversations about a document or with a student about a or a text document that they're typing or they're working on. So that way, just have that discussion right in here. So, for example, click on Show Discussions. Go ahead and leave a new discussion. So the discussion might be your title of your document isn't clear. Please be more specific. Oops, hope I spelled it right. And click Comment. So I'm clicking on the whole document rather than a specific part of the document itself. Now, what this teacher really likes to do is once the student has resolved that issue, so say they've cleared up the title, click on Resolve, and it's not showing up anymore. It's resolved, so they don't see that. Okay, it's marked as resolved, and then you can click on Reopen if you want to as well. The difference between comments and discussion are I click on Comment, Insert Comment. On the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, please consider a different these show up right within when you're doing the document. The comments will. Discussions will only show up when you click on Show Discussions. Now note that I now have selected text. Please consider a different title. Once it's resolved, I can click on Resolve. And we're done. Notice also you can look and see when this document was accessed. This is really nice. For example, if a student says, I worked on that document every single day for a week, and then you go look at the activity, well, you've only looked at it today. So that's kind of that little check to say, okay, I do notice that you're looking at it over the last few days, or you made some changes. You can go to the revision history as well, but this is a quick view to see how things are going. So discussion will show up now in email every time somebody responds to that question, or I'll get an email whenever people respond to my comments. So if I go to View, I click on Discussion and Show Discussions, I can see those discussions. I can see the comments, and I can comment back to them and say, oh, I know why that wasn't showing up, because I resolved it. There it is. Then I reopened it up. You know, the student resolved it. You're like, no. Think again. And hit reply. Until I resolve it, those comments won't disappear. And those comments will not print off when you print this document as well. But those comments will stay there until it's resolved. They'll stay hidden to resolve it. Okay? Questions or comments or things that you want to see about discussions or comments?
For now, we can keep going and then maybe answer questions in about 10 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. All right, there are things underneath here that I can click on Publish, just like your document, your spreadsheet. You can publish to the web. So if I click on Publish to the web, I can start publishing. Hit OK. Now you document link, which is that link right there. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. That iframe where you can embed it someplace else if you want to. So if I can only put in some title, hello. It is something cooler here. No more 100-degree days. Okay. So 5 minutes, this will republish. Go ahead and republish to the web again. And stop publishing and start publishing. So this is you got to stop publishing and republish, even if you want those changes to show up immediately. Otherwise, we'll do it like every 5 minutes. So the same URL that changed. I'm going to go ahead and open up a new browser window, and there's my title. So I don't have a menu bar, I don't have the ruler, any of those kinds of things again. But I have the name of the document, and there's my changes. So every 5 minutes, this document will update. A secretary was going to use spreadsheet for conferences. Had parents to conferences and just had a link to conference schedule, and every 5 minutes it would change depending on how parents came into that. And the teachers just had a link directly to it. They didn't want to make any changes to it. They just wanted to see it. So I just provided them a link, and it was on their web page, and they could definitely just see that conference schedule at any point in time. So that was really nice to have that in there as well. So you have this email colors. This is a nice little, nobody's collaborating on this document with me, so I'll go ahead and click cancel a minute. Let me find another one. Let's find that has been shared. So again, I'm going to click on more options, and I'm going to click on things that are shared with me. That way I know there's probably more than one person there. I'm going to go and click on this one, for example, and click share. Collaborators. I can email all the collaborators of this one, or I can uncheck any one of them in a quick message. So when I email everybody within this document, I could certainly do that. Let's find one that's got a little more in there as far as people. Let's go on the web. We don't want to use that one. Let's try this one. There's one that's got a few more people on it. Same thing here. Click on share. Email creators. Now here's the people that have that access to this document as collaborators. So say, no, I don't need to email these two because I just talked to them a few minutes ago, but I want to email everybody else about this document. You can sort of do that right in here as well. But you could also do it in the discussion, but notice this is a document, so it's missing that discussions. And that's because this is an older document that was uploaded in the old version of Google Docs. So that's why that's not there. Okay. You also can sort by title. Right now it's sorted by title. I'm going to sort last modified. So these are in bold. Means there's been some changes made to these documents that I have not seen yet. These ones have blue dots next to them. That means there's changes made to this document and I haven't opened them yet at all. So these are all documents that I haven't opened. And this one here, for example, is one that I've opened, but I haven't seen the new changes to it. So that's kind of nice to see that as well. Let me get rid of that one, get rid of those, and go back to my home. Oops, let's go back to home. Now your starred items. So these are things that have been starred. And starred works, these are what I'm coming back to quite often, or things that I want to make sure and come back to revisit. So the star is a nice little tool as well to help you with those things as far as getting some organized for you as well. So I do like that star. And then, let's see, I don't think there's anything else underneath these search operators that I use a lot. Hyphen, that's a nice one to use actually. So if you're looking for a document, again, I'm going to uncheck the home. So I'm looking for a document, and say I type in Google. I'm sure there's a lot of things that have Google in them in my account. But things that don't have Iowa in them. So I'm going to put minus Iowa. So now things that they don't have Iowa in them. And let's say one more. Let's go minus login. See if that takes that out as well. It did. It removed some more things. So let's do one more. Let's take out minus school. Oops, I spelled school right. So now kind of narrowing some things down. So that minus is a way, if you're getting too many hits, that minus is a nice way to do that as well. So that's a really good way to search for your things. So it does work much in the same way with the quotes. If you're looking for a specific thing, I'm looking for Google Sites. And so it works specifically for anything within Google Sites that has that name Google Sites in it. And see none of my titles. Clear my search a minute. Do Google Sites again. It'll search for all items by default. It won't give me that one like we have. I just do like something like this. Notice the searches in my titles, but the minute I put those quotes around it, it only gives me the option to search within all items containing Google Sites. Oops. Okay. Are we open up for some questions?
Yeah, so we have tons of great questions,
Okay,
and
great.
we can begin.
Okay.
So one of the first ones was, in terms of best practices, when using with students, do you have them share a folder with the teacher or share a document or share just a document? What do you find easier? So I guess in this sense, share individual documents, or should they have a folder that's always shared with their teacher and then dropping those documents into that particular collection, I should say?
Right, exactly. I would say with the number of students that you have, I would ask them to create a folder and call it, for example, Mrs. Schmullen Science, and share that with you and drop stuff into that folder. Because otherwise, you're going to get stuff and they might forget to put their name on it, all those kinds of things. So I'd much rather have them create a folder and have Mrs. Schmullen Science and then have them put their last name in there. So let's go with something like this. New collection. And I might call it Mrs. Schmullen Science, and let's name this one Marissa O, for example, and hit OK. So if I so O, I would now share that folder or that collection with Schmollen. Does that help?
Yep, great.
Okay, good.
Then we have another question that is this user loves Google Docs, but one problem he sees is that when other students comment on a student work, then they can see the teacher comments as well. So is there a way to make certain comments private or just directed towards one user?
Right. Now I'm aware of. No, there's not. As long as that document is shared with multiple people, whoever has access to that document has all the same rights as you do. So I have a master collaboration kind of a thing.
That's right.
Okay.
Another question. When you create a new form, it puts sample questions in the spreadsheet.
Right.
Even if you removed it from the edit form screen, can you delete them in the spreadsheet?
Yeah, I do, and I take those sample questions. I go ahead and modify those sample questions right away. I don't delete them. For example, I'm going to create a new form here. Right away, I start modifying these questions. So I might say first name, and then I modify this one right away. So I don't delete them. I don't put questions down below them. These are really my first questions. And if I want to add some more questions, I can from there.
I do too. I think that's the perfect workaround for it.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, because it is confusing when you see those sample questions. And if you go to add an item, sometimes it's like, oh, where'd that go? So yeah.
Exactly. While we're in forms,
go ahead.
A question is, when creating a form and you want to move info around, is it okay to move questions around in the form? In
the form, you can move questions around, definitely. So I could definitely take, like, for example, this question. Let's edit this question. Let's put something in for it. Describe what you learned today. And so you definitely move these questions around. But only they're going to be organized in how you added them to the form. So let's go ahead and save this. And notice first name, describe what you learned, and last name. And let's see the spreadsheet. So first and last name, describe what you learned today. So that's how it's saved right now. Let's go to form, hit the form again, and let's move this down and see what happens. Save it. Let's go to see responses of spreadsheet. And it'll keep whatever one very first save. Once you say keep that one, whatever it was at that point in time. So now I can take these columns and move them around, but then it won't work ever for me again. So that's kind of a pain sometimes, but that's kind of what it is. So get it that first way, and then once you've got it how you want it, click save. But not wait to click save either, because that sometimes can crash on you, your browser can quit on you, power can go out, those kinds of things. So kind of always tell people to plan their form out beforehand, before start to make your form, and that you won't run into that issue near as much.
Awesome. Another form question, so I'm glad that we're still in there. When you're sharing a form within your Google Apps domain, is the only way to do this by emailing a URL?
Oh, I see. To share you want to share the form, or you want to share? So you're expecting them to fill some data out. That'd be my guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The only way to do that is to email them. You can email right from here if you want to. You could choose from your contacts if you wanted to. So I'll email it to this one and say all, and hit done. And I'm just going to call this untitled form. I'm going to say please ignore now for now. And hit send. The only way is to do this right from up here, or you can get it right down here at the bottom if you want to.
Yeah, on that screen, something important to note, if you just click email this form one more time so we can see it. What's interesting is that this box right here that says include form in the email, what that will do is it'll actually embed the form in your email so that when the other person opens their email, then they can fill out the questions right in that message rather than having to click on a URL and open it in another window.
Exactly, right. Yep. And then also, that's nice because then they don't have to click someplace else. But then people get disappointed when they don't see their when they see their theme in there. So it will take off your theme. If I emailed it to myself, so let's see if we can look at it here. So there it is. So yep, I can build this out right in here. And hit submit. Yep, and it's right there. So yep, exactly.
Great. So now moving on to spreadsheets. This user wants to know, can you publish just one part of a spreadsheet? For example, just a section of cells or a single sheet?
Yep, exactly. You sure can. I'm going to go and find a spreadsheet here. So let me find a spreadsheet. And let's go to, let's do this one. Okay. And maybe with this too, I've kind of playing with it a little bit. I want to publish, this has more than one. Let's do one that has more than one sheet. Let's choose one that has more than one sheet. I know more than one sheet. I know they do. Okay, so let's click this one, for example. So this one has 3 sheets. You need to publish the whole thing, and then you can select which sheet you want to publish. So for example, I want to publish this one. I click on the share, which is a web page, and you do publish all sheets. For example, I had some vocabulary things, some like gadgets. They were working with word jumbles and crosswords and those kinds of things. Then you do have to publish all your sheets. But if you just want to publish one of them, you can, and hit start publishing. But if the sheets are linked as far as data, then you do need to publish all of them. So I click on all sheets, start publishing. Now if I want to publish only sheet 1, see how that changes down here. If I want to just copy sector 2, you can see how that changes down here as well. And now if you just want to do B1, I believe. You can help me with this one. B1 through B23. Let's see how that works. And it did change down here, so let's see how that looks. Yep, and it published just that B1 through B23. So it's got the same little formula you use when you are selecting cells. So if I go, let's go back here and publish it again. Click on share, publish page. So say time we want to go all sheets. Let's just go copy sector 2. So you select what one you want to work with, and this time let's go B1 colon B23 comma C1 comma C23. Copy, close, and see what that looks like on the Safari this time. Oh, my cell range. I'm not familiar how to do those cell range sometimes. I know to do a column, but not sure how to do all those cells that are like an area of cells. So
and we'll be typing up the question and answer, and on our Help Center, there is a full page on how to do that.
Okay.
So we'll send out that link so they can learn exactly how to do it. But that's great.
Yep.
Okay, we have about 8 minutes. So I want to make sure we get through a few more of these questions.
Okay.
So this person asked, say we make files shared between a single teacher and a single student. Say we have 25 students, therefore 25 files. Is there a way to do this in batch?
So the question is, again, you've got 25 files. Oh, okay. But 25 different students?
Yep.
25, Oh, different students. So say that, so let me make sure I'm understanding this right. Say I've got 25 different files. Okay. And I want to use files with the same 25 students or different students?
I mean, I think so the person who wrote that question, can you please clarify the question? We can go back to it.
Yeah, we can come back to it.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that I'm answering her question right.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Okay. So it said one file per student. I'm not sure what you mean by batch, but basically if you have, if you have a welcome to the class newsletter and you want to share those, then you'd have to, if there's 5 different files, then you'd have to share each file individually with each student. There's no way to really group those together just because it's just one file. And
that's my understanding as well. Yeah, that's what she's trying to do, is trying to do different. So you still have to do it individually, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it would have to be individual shares.
Right.
Okay, let's keep it moving with these questions.
Okay.
So for partial words, like a wild card,
I haven't seen that wild card. Have you?
You know of.
No, I
but
haven't
again,
seen
we can follow up.
Let me see if I can search for, and this is a good question because I'm not sure. Let's do GOO wild card. Something like, see what we get. Oh, let's do something a little more random. Oh, maybe it did.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, it does look like it worked. Good question.
Another question about how is the discussions different than going to insert and comment, but you answered that during that during your explanation, so that went well.
Okay.
Can there be any connection between Gmail labels and Google Doc collections?
Oh, not that I'm aware of. Are you aware of anything coming down?
No, as far as I know, there isn't any connection between them.
No.
Obviously, you could have the same Gmail label that you have in Google Docs, but it doesn't mean that they're interconnected.
Doesn't mean they're connected, right? Doesn't mean you can sync, right?
Yeah. Once again, how you would email all collaborators, so collaborators rather. So.
Sure, you bet. Let me find one again that is shared with multiple people. Let me go to all items. Okay, this one is that one that I think was shared with multiple people. So I'm going to click on that document. And that's upper right-hand corner. You click on share. Email. So now I'm just going to say I just want to email those 2. Or all of them. Here's my message. This is a test. Please ignore. Thanks. Okay. And you click on send. If I check any of these, then it only goes to the person that I have checked. And I can do select all, select none. Well, the list is pretty short, but there's some lists that are a little bit longer. And click send. So say you've got a class newsletter, you've got a template or something like that you want all your students to have access to, and you want to push some information out to them. One is through the discussion, but the other way is to click on share and email collaborators. So that way they can all see, they can all get that information out right away.
Great. So we have a couple more questions. So at the end of a form, when someone submits it, there's that link that says, is there a way to delete the go back to form or create a new form on the confirmation?
I haven't seen a way to do that. I'm not sure if there's any way that on your end that you've seen.
No, I don't think so. It's possible that you might be able to do it with the script, but as far as I know, that's just standard.
Right, that's pretty standard, yep. You can definitely change it and say, thank you for your time, and please read chapters 1 through 3, or
exactly.
if you have any questions, that kind of thing. But yeah, it doesn't give that option to uncheck those.
A question is, can we publish documents to users outside of the domain?
Everybody should be able to, unless their administrators have turned something off where they can't publish outside the domain. Let me double check here on my administration side. I think sharing, but I don't think it limits you as far as publishing. Well, let me see here. Let's see. Yeah, let's do a sharing, it looks like. Document visibility. Yeah, like this has to do with visibility. I haven't seen where they've limited that you can publish a document.
So I think that once users cannot share documents outside this organization, then it won't give you the option to publish it either.
You the option to publish it. Okay.
Yeah. So even in some cases, like organizations, like will let you share the domain, but they won't even let you publish it because they'll check that second checkbox there.
I didn't see that. Yep,
but you're not allowed. But as an administrator, you can decide whether or not you want your users to publish outside of the domain or share outside of the domain.
Right. Exactly. Gotcha. Yep. So I wasn't sure if that was there or not. That's good.
Okay, I have a few more questions. We have 1 more minute. If we don't get to your question in the next couple minutes, then we'll be sure to type them up in the Q&A window, and then when we send out the transcript of the question and answer session, we can send it out as well.
Okay.
So then I'll just go ahead and do 1 more question. Basically, if you have a document in multiple collections, if you delete it from one collection, is it deleted from the entire Google Docs instance?
Gotcha.
Or
not. If you move it to the trash, yes, it is deleted from everywhere. If you just remove it from the collection, it still sits in the other collections. So, for example, this one right here, I click on it, and let's click that one, and click on Organize. See, it's sitting in different multiple collections. Let's go to that collection right there, AA267 Tech Work, and click on it again. I'm going to organize it and move it from that collection. And no longer in that collection, it is still sitting in my home. Where it went. Sorry. SCHM Aliens. I got to get rid of this one. Oh, there it is. So yeah, it's still sitting in my collection, but it's still sitting in all my documents, but it's not sitting in that collection anymore. So you can definitely move things in and out of collections. Better to take it and move it to the trash, then it's totally gone. Unless you take it back out of your trash. Great.
Well, we are just past 3 p.m. Pacific time here, and I want to take this time now to thank Kay again for providing us with a wealth of information. I myself personally learned lots of tips and tricks, new tips and tricks in terms of using Google Docs. So thanks again for joining us. This webinar has been recorded, and I'll be sending out a link to the recording and to a Q&A transcript, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for joining us, and hopefully you guys will join us on our next webinar.
Great. Thanks, Becky.
Thanks. Take care.
Yep. Take care. Bye-bye.